This is going to be a fun video for me, but first I want to wish you a happy new year. I thought it would be a great time to reflect back on 2024 and share with you some of my favorite things, maybe things I've used, things I've learned, things I've found, and talk to you about them. And some of them might be interesting to you for you to check out. But before we get into that part of the video, I'm going to go over these things. I want to hear from you. Look back on your year. How was your 2024? What are some of the favorite things that happened, that you found, that you discovered, that you learned? Share those with us down below. I would love to read it, and I know other viewers of this channel would love it as well. If you want to help support my channel and me providing these videos, a couple of ways you can do that for free is by clicking on that like button down below, also hitting the subscribe button. So no further delay, let's get into my favorite things from 2024. Number one was discovering that I had very high cholesterol. Around March of this year, I had my yearly appointment and those numbers came back in the red. It was a wake-up call that I needed, and you might say, why is this your favorite thing? Well, because it led to a complete overhaul of what I ate. I was just mindlessly eating actual junk, the ultra-processed crap that I talk about. And that's one thing that led to many different changes this year. This was one of the biggest kick in the pants that I needed. And I thought, geez, I just turned 40. I got these blood results. No, we are not doing this. I have at the time, 7-year-old. I need to be around and be healthy. And I wanted to see if I could do it without medication. Sometimes with these things, you have to have medication or you need medication to help them because it's not necessarily what you're eating. But in my case, it was not whatsoever. I knew what I did, what I ate that led to those numbers. Number two is something that was the actual highlight of my year, something that I have been working on, my husband and I, for years now. This was something that was my entire top goal the entire time that I've been on YouTube, and we've paid off our mortgage in 6 years. in May of 2024, we paid off our mortgage. What an amazing thing and how it felt. And so many of you supported me along the way that I made a video that talked a bit about the journey and how it feels now. But there were many people who continued to ask, what are the specifics? How do you do it? What do you do? The thing about that is it's very simple. We follow the tips that I give on this channel. There's no magic formula. There's no magic wand. There's no secret that I'm keeping. I would say I can wrap it up in about 3 parts. The first part is spending and saving. Saving and spending wisely. Those things matter. The second is widening the gap between your income and your expenses. This involves not letting lifestyle creep come in. So what happens is when most people get more money or have more income, then they increase their expenses. So let's say you get a salary increase and you're like, oh, I have an extra $600 a month. So you go ahead and get a $600 a month car payment. Or maybe one spouse starts working that didn't before. Now you have a 2-income household and you think, we need a bigger house now. So the gap between your income and your expenses never gets bigger. It always continues to go the same direction. What you want to do is widen that gap. You want to continue a similar expense lifestyle while at the same time over years increasing your income. That widens that gap. So then you take that extra money and you make extra principal payments on your mortgage each month. If your mortgage is $1,000 and you have an extra savings that month of $500, obviously most mortgages are not $1,000. I understand that now, especially now. I'm using round numbers. If your mortgage is $1,000 and you have an extra $500 a month between your income and expenses to go towards the principal, then you pay your $1,000 monthly mortgage payment and you make an additional $500 payment on the principal. You continue to do this for years and eventually you pay your mortgage off early. I have been asked a few times what podcast I listen to or what books I might be reading, so I want to include a few of those in this video that have been impactful over this year. Now, part of my health journey has led me to finding information to help with that. Now, this next tip, next favorite thing, number 3, is going to talk about one of those items. But I promise there's going to be more than just health things in this video. But I want to talk about someone I found named Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. She has a book called Forever Strong. And what I really was interested in is the link that she talked about between skeletal muscle and longevity. So she's a doctor who has a book, podcast, YouTube channel. She invites guests on to talk about other things that she's interested in along the health kind of journey. Her information really helped me understand the value of having muscle on your body, even just lean muscle, and the muscular health for longevity. Not just, saying you look great in your bathing suit, but the protection that it provides over your lifetime and how it helps with your mobility and your longevity in those later years, and how that can actually start now, where I can start making sure that I continue on a great path to protect that and protect my later years. So I've read her book, I've watched her YouTube channel, I really enjoy her. I don't recommend books often, but if this sounds like someone you'd be interested in checking out, I will link to her down in the description box below. I may have been wrong about number 2 being the highlight of my year, paying off my mortgage, because honestly, this one, the mortgage would mean nothing without this one. Number 4 is, and I'll try not to cry because it's that emotional for me, and it was finding Jesus. I did not find Jesus until I was 40. I got baptized this year. It isn't about religion to me, it's about a relationship with Him. I've always believed in God, always, but I didn't understand Jesus. I didn't have a religious upbringing where I was in church, and I'd never tried to get to know Him. I started praying to God a couple of years ago, that just to guide me, and because I didn't understand Jesus. What's interesting is, maybe I should have read about Him. That makes sense now, but not at the time. For so long, I was looking for happiness and peace in self-help book after self-help book from people who were my age or maybe a little bit older than me. They had wisdom. Little did I know that ultimate happiness and peace was in the book I knew about but hadn't yet read. And I found that in the Bible. And I finally read about Jesus, and I finally understood more about God, and just the peace and the happiness and walking through life knowing what I know now and what I completely believe and feel. It feels like I'm whole now. I've put number 5 behind number 4 because it links to number 4, so just go with me here. I promise we've got more favorite things in this video, 9 things total. But number 5 is finding a great church community. So these things went hand in hand. I had been to churches in the past many, many times, and it was just like a push of religion, like a push down your throat. Believe in Jesus or go to hell type of a thing. Here's the thing. You can't force someone into loving someone else. You also can't scare them into it. Jesus wants you to come to Him with love, not because you were forced to do so or you've been told you're going to go to hell unless you do. You can't force somebody or again, scare them into it. And unfortunately, that's a lot of times what I experienced until I found a great church. And again, that came from continuing to pray night after night, continually saying, God, please guide me in the direction you see for my life. And it was this church that was brought into our lives. This church is amazing. I was greeted with open arms, never pressured. The pastor and the church, it's all about helping you understand the Bible, understanding God, understanding Jesus. They want to teach it, not preach it. It's more of the way to say it. And the thing about having a church is I highly recommend it because what it does is it helps keep God, and going weekly helps keep God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit in front of your mind each week. It helps to keep you from losing touch with them, to keep them at the top of your mind as you go through the week ahead. With this health journey, what I did this year was really find some great sources that were both information and entertaining. Places that people that really could teach me something, because I think when you really take care of yourself or decide to, you need to learn about it, but in a fun way. That led me to, don't ask me how I found this show, but it's called the Mind Pump Show. And this may seem completely off the beaten path, but just follow me here for a minute. It's a group of three men, three dads who were fitness trainers for years. I have learned so much from them, and they are so entertaining. Their podcast starts out with some sort of great down to earth, not, big dude, you need to do this and that and the other to get healthy. No, they break it down for the person who doesn't understand it to really understand this links to that, which links to this and to that. And you go, why has nobody ever tried to explain that to me that way? Because that makes sense. For instance, cardio. The thing about cardio is you may do cardio and then what happens is you plateau. So you've got cardio, you're doing 30 minutes a day, X amount of days, you start losing weight or feeling more fit, and then you plateau and you're like, nothing's going any further. What happens is the body adapts. And so what they talk about really is that strength training, because the thing is you've got to understand that body does adapt. And when it starts to adapt, when you're doing those things, such as I was rucking, and I was saw results at the beginning, and then I stopped seeing results. Well, my body started to slow my metabolism because it realized that was my new pace, and your body wants to protect what it's holding on to. Well, with strength training, you are constantly adapting, continuing to increase, so you don't have that adaptation. So you're increasing the weight that you lift, which keeps the body thinking. And when you build this muscle, and it's not what you think as far as big burly muscle, it actually is more sculpt toned is what it looks like. It's very difficult for, I would say, women to build a huge biceps and huge quads. Those people who do that work at it like every day and very hard. What happens is you don't get bulky, you just get sculpted. But what happens, that muscle that you then have starts to increase your metabolism. So it keeps you from reaching that adaptation where you have to continue to do more and more. And there's not so much cardio that you can do. You can't run 3 hours a day, then 4 hours a day, then 5 hours a day. At some point it becomes unrealistic. That's just one of the things that, again, I am explaining it to you in a very novice. This is the information I've heard from people who know way better than me, and how my body or how my mouth is interpreting it, how my brain is interpreting it to you through my mouth. So if you're interested in that, I will again link their show below. Check them out if you are interested in this topic. Okay, number 7. Scratch cooking. This was one goal at the beginning of 2024. I said, I want to cook more from scratch. It was one video. I'm not going to go back and try to find the video where I talked about it, but I took that goal and I ran with it. I have to say, I absolutely hit it. Some of the items I made from scratch this year, you may have heard me talk about, but I got a sourdough starter. I make my own sourdough bread. I made cinnamon rolls from scratch with the sourdough discard. I've made buttercream from scratch, cakes, apple butter, which involved canning for the first time. The thing about scratch cooking is everything tastes so much better than buying it already made. You can tell just a big difference when there aren't any unreadable ingredients or preservatives in the things that you're making. Also, it takes way less time than you think. It was very daunting at first when I thought about making some of this stuff from scratch. I mean, I work full time, I run this YouTube channel, I'm a wife and mom. Trust me, it can be done. Number 8 is the last thing regarding health, I promise. But it's the one thing that's made the biggest difference. And that is finding Caroline Girvan. She is a YouTuber that has different fitness programs. So I did her fitness program for completely free, and this thing has changed my body. I lost body fat, I gained muscle tone. I have never felt this, I don't know, fit, and I'm still on my journey. It has made a huge difference. The workouts to me are easy because you can do them at home with a mat and some free weights. They don't take a lot of time. She gives you tips along the way. She has different series of her programs. So I did the Iron series, and it's on her YouTube channel. But if you want more, so you can get a bigger selection of her videos as far as a longer program or other programs, she does have an app now. I think it's around $15 a month. Very well worth it. I've greatly enjoyed it. I've had it for, I think, about 5-6 months now. But if this sounds like something you'd be interested in as far as you're looking for a great fitness person, how I found out about her was a friend of mine. I hadn't seen in a couple of months or a few months, and I came back and I was like, "What have you been doing?" She said, "Guess what I found?" All she did was Google. She found Caroline Girvan, and it has made a huge difference in both of us. So if you're interested in checking her out on YouTube, I will link that down below. Number 9 is YouTube. YouTube. This channel has grown so much this year, and I want to take the time to personally thank each of you for your support. By watching my videos, you help me continue to make free content on this channel. I think the channel gained about 35,000 subscribers this year. Realize I've been doing YouTube for 6.5 years, and for the first 3 years, it didn't make a cent. I was making these videos completely free, and it was very few subscribers for the first 3 years, and then it's just taken off. And I'm just so grateful and blessed to be able to sit and talk about something that I'm very interested in, because if you know my story of being in debt in my 20s, growing up frugal, being in debt in my 20s, and then being where I am now today, mortgage free, it's an opportunity to teach or to give you my opinion on how we did it and ways to save money, saving money, spending smart, in the hopes that, it helps someone out there. I hope you enjoyed this very different video from me. I hope it was fun. If you're interested in anything I've talked about, I will link some of those things down below. If you enjoyed it, please click on that like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead.